Good morning, everyone, and thank you for coming, and welcome. It's a great day in Miami. And my name is David Lucatch. I am the CEO of Liquid Avatar Technologies, and we're really a hybrid company, a Web3 hybrid company. And what Liquid Avatar Technologies does is we're really focused on blockchain and fintech solutions and the creation of digital items in a Web3 environment, but we also support the journey between the physical and digital human experience. And one of the key areas that we look at is digital footprints and identity. And before we get started, I'll get all this out of the way. These are some of the projects that I've worked on in the past. My team has been together, some of us has been together for almost 30 years. So we've been there at Web 1, we've been there at Web 2, and now we're here at Web 3. And I'm very fortunate. My career spanned all types of media, all types of agency work. I'm very fortuitously a New York Emmy-nominated executive producer for television, and my team helped the band KISS, Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley, get a Guinness World Record. So we've done some really cool stuff. I did the first F1 chats way back in 1998 in the pits in Imola, Italy. And I've done some work with the Yankees and most sports agencies. So it's been fun. I think some of the great projects that we have done is we helped Disney Animation release the song Let It Go from Frozen. We actually released the video, and it wasn't Idina Menzel, it was actually Demi Lovato. And we've done some really crazy but great things. And we're here to talk today about engagement. So this isn't just, you're seeing some great presentations on the Metaverse technology, what's happening in the future. I'm here to talk about the now, because while the future tech is great, and we've always been into future tech, what are you going to do today to engage your audience, engage your brands, engage your customers? And these are the type of things that we do. We work from everywhere from decentralized platforms to identity permission marketing. Now you look at this and say, well, you are an agency. Well, we're really our own internal agency. We do all these services primarily for ourselves and our customers, but really what we like to do is focus on partnerships. So throughout this, if it's within your wheelhouse, think about how you can partner with us, how we can work together to bring products to life. Because really at the end of the day, we're not looking to work for you, we're looking to work with you to create value for primarily an end consumer. And that consumer could be an enterprise client, or it could be literally a retail consumer. So really when we start to look at Web3, and I know there's so many different ideas about what Web3 is. And at the end of the day, we really focus on who, what, when, and how. And most of what you're going to see throughout these presentations is going to be what, when, and how. And whether it was Lucas's presentation or Adam's presentation or any of the great presentations that you're seeing today, it's going to be primarily focused on what is the next generation of tech. And that is, we all need to be here and we all need to look at it. And by the way, I am co-chair of the Metaverse Committee for the VRARA in Canada, and so we see all this tech. Again, we've been involved since Web 1 in early tech, so at the end of the day, we're looking at tech where it's going to be 2 or 3 years out. But many of our clients, many of our consumers, many of our players want to know what can they do today, and what is that level of engagement. And what we have really looked at, and aside from just the what, when, and how, is the who. Now, I'm going to ask you, and I could ask for a show of hands, but how many of you would be amenable to entering a dark room full of strangers in disguise that you know nothing about? Okay, no one would. How many of you would take your children and put them in those rooms? Nobody would, right? Well, unless you're, well, I'm not going to say nobody would, but you know where I'm coming from. At the end of the day, since the inception of the internet, there has been a misconception. The misconception is that we should have absolute freedom to do whatever we want to do with no barriers, no bounds. And if we're good actors, if we're bad actors, we want to talk with our inside voice, we want to talk with our outside voice, it shouldn't matter. So I don't know if everyone's aware, but identity fraud alone in the financial industry is about a $30 billion a year industry. So think about the cyberbullying, the issues. We hear news reports every day, unfortunately, about things like abduction and problems. It's because we become accustomed to allowing ourselves and our family members to go places online, which we would never do in the real world, without any form of responsibility. I don't want to say control. I don't want to say identity. I want to say responsibility. And we change that. We have products. We started about 6 years ago working on proof of humanity and identity. So it isn't about knowing who you are, but it's knowing that you are a who, right? Knowing that you are a real person. Knowing, and when you start looking at regulations, whether it's GDPR or CCPA or PIPEDA in Canada, we start to look at that identity and identity footprints are all about who you are and where you go, but in your control. It's mine. It's one of my most valuable assets. So we have developed a proof of humanity solution that doesn't identify anyone, only verifies that you're a real person before you get into our platforms and other government platforms and other programs. Now, why is that valuable? Because it meets the regulatory guidelines, number one. And number two, you know as potentially a brand or a company that everyone that's in there is a real person. You're not spending money or doing things to reach an audience that is fake. You also know that based on certain regulations, you can start creating these amazing one-to-one relationships with individuals. That is the next generation. It isn't about knowing exactly who you are, but it's knowing that you're a real person. And we take that to all our products. And I will tell you as we get through this, I'll give you some tidbits. One, we've started testing this live, and it's in 100 countries and regions around the world in the app stores, our proof of humanity. And we're testing it with a play-to-earn game first that users can generate, self-generate. We call them resource packs. They're actually, built on an NFT platform. They're resource packs that can be used in our version of the Metaverse. In the last tomorrow will be 8 weeks. In the last 8 weeks, users have generated 165,000 resource packs in an 8-week period. That's pretty amazing. It's about 6,000 a day now. So, and people, once they do our proof of humanity they just use it, log in. They don't have to use a username, don't have to use a password anymore, because we don't need that. It's just they log in with their proof of humanity and they're in our platform. So when we look at all of this, I've talked about this a little bit, but we've talked about creating users and then into avatars and then into brands. So we are really focused, our first focus of our organization is that digital identity footprint. The next part is the digital twin. So if you really want to have a great avatar, that avatar should have a connection to you as a real person and should be able to shield you for any relationship you create with someone online. So you're in control of the avatar, and the avatar, basically it gets involved in the event, and once it's completed, it moves the action and message back to the individual that owns that. So an example would be, you're sitting with 3 friends or 4 friends in a virtual restaurant. You all order virtual meals, and because of the connection between your avatar and your real person, you don't have to interact and give someone payment directly. You can indirectly provide payment, and the delivery service can deliver your real goods as your virtual goods are being delivered to your virtual table. Everyone can really share a meal. You can shield yourself from any type of action using a digital twin. So we don't think of an avatar just as that fun representation of us. We think of it as an intermediary proxy to get to the next level. And that's really important. And this is available today. This isn't a tomorrow or next week or next year. This is something that is available today. And we integrate this solution with Ready Player Me and our own custom avatars. And so this is really 101 for everyone. But when you start looking at the Metaverse, as we move on to our third area, you'll start looking at the Metaverse, you start looking at the different technologies and solutions that are out there. And so we use both WebGL and pixel streaming. Now I'm going to say this with great respect, we're one of the first real ready-to-go pixel streaming metaverses out there. And we know we're one of the first because several of the technology companies that we've worked with have had to put in fixes into their broad spectrum products to help us get this up and running. So we're actually getting ready to run we've been doing testing a full persistent server for the Metaverse. But when you start to look at what you want to do in the Metaverse and you want to use these high fidelity opportunities, whether it is WebGL or pixel streaming, you've got to start to look at authenticity. feeding your Metaverse programs? What are you doing to create engagement? In that product I talked to you about a few minutes ago, we're seeing between 1 and 3 hours of engagement per user per day. So somewhere between 50, 55 minutes, all the way up to 300 minutes a day. And that is a true metric. What are your goals and objectives? What is your unique value propositions, KPIs, all that great stuff? And what are you using blockchain for? Can you use blockchain? We use blockchain to create a digital footprint and proof of humanity. We manage blockchain with our avatars. We use blockchain to manage all our products and services. We don't use it so that it is a product that is sold outside our environment. We use it to manage and control the inventory and the business. So blockchain isn't just about creating, quote unquote, an NFT that you can trade all over the world. It's about creating unique opportunities that ultimately could be interoperable. You could be able to take that item, if I own it, play it in one metaverse, because the NFT would trigger inventory in my metaverse, and it might trigger inventory in your metaverse. So a brand can create one NFT that is potentially long-term usable in multiple metaverses or multiple online platforms. This is really important. And then we look at the great stuff that you can do. You can do wearables, collectibles, branded goods. You can work in hospitality, online sales, and the various other areas. So there's a lot that you can do with what's going on today, and with some of the great technology that's available here today. So when we look at creating the virtual you, and I'm hoping this is going to work, we're going to show you a little bit about our avatar creation suite. There we go. So in addition to Ready Player Me, we have a situation where we can actually imprint and use inside a metaverse an actual avatar with your face or body type. So we can do all of this immediately, and it's available. This technology is available today. We use it for athletes and celebrities. And again, when you take that and you match that to a digital footprint, that individual is now verified. So it's the real blue check mark, in my humble opinion. It's not someone can buy it, it's the real blue check mark. So, and then, this is another type, obviously you've seen this. We also do RPM stuff. So Ready Player Me, which is a fantastic application. If you haven't used it or you haven't thought about using it, if you're creating a virtual environment as a brand, this is something that you really want to look at and use. And for most of us, we've seen this before or we've used it, but Ready Player Me is a great out-of-the-box solution for those that are looking to use avatars in their environment. And that is a mass creation tool. And we're actually doing wearables now to augment what is currently available in Ready Player Me. And then, again, creating authentic brand programs. This is for demonstration purposes only, but we believe that an item should look like the item. We know that some early adopters in the metaverse have used, voxel-based and low-grade graphics just to save computing time and browser efforts. But that is actually part of our real environment in the metaverse, that is Pixel Stream. So we think that brands need to authentically deliver value. And then we also believe that you should have a persistent experience for your brands and customers, something that is always on, always available, and really puts forth your messaging, your branding. And so, again, we've dropped a Ready Player Me into a Pixel streaming server, and you can create, this is, again, a now situation, you can create stores and opportunities to come in and buy your virtual product. So that part is really about, consumption. Can you start to create virtual products which are accretive to your current strategy, using high-fidelity graphics and high-fidelity programs to buy both physical and virtual items together. So what is your strategy for hybrid? Again, because you can create accretive value. You can be creating new value for products that you've already got in inventory. And we're seeing that now in a number of different industries. And then I think this is the last one. So this is about awareness, engagement, activation, and conversion. These are the 4 really key pillars if you're looking at working in the space that you should be focused on. What is your awareness for whatever you're doing? How are you going to engage? How are you going to activate? And how are you going to convert? And this is, again, actually a real Metaverse application that we've built. We call this our Clubhouse. Again, an RPM character in there that is can look around and go. And again, there is no download on our application. 0 download. It all plays from the cloud on GPU cloud servers. And again, from this standpoint, this is just an example of what we call discovery. You can discover items. So it's not only about awareness, engagement, conversion, and activation. You can add discovery to that as well. And really, at the end of the day, these are some of the things our firm does. But again, we're looking to partner with people here. This is why we're here. We're looking to partner with you, find new ways to engage brands, opportunities, and see where we can take things to the next level. Again, we are a technology company, and we're not an agency. We work with partners to solve engagement issues. And here's my contact information, and I'd like to thank you for your time today. And if you'd like to speak to me, I'm here today and tomorrow, or just contact me and we'll get together. Thank you very much, everyone. Bye for now.